back to Lenfant's Cocktails. Today we're going to talk about 4 holiday themed drinks that you can make for the upcoming Christmas and holiday season. First, we're going to make a cranberry chocolate old fashioned. We're going to make a cranberry cinnamon margarita. Yeah, there's a little bit of a cranberry theme there. We'll do a blueberry brown sugar whiskey sour, and finally a traditional eggnog. I wanted to make this video as we're going into the holiday season because it's the time for holiday parties and get-togethers, and some people might want some specifically themed drinks for their parties and events. Here are 4 that I thought would be great for the holiday season. 3 of them are traditional cocktails that you can make anytime with some tweaked components. No holiday season is complete without a traditional eggnog. Our first cocktail today is going to be a cranberry chocolate old fashioned. We're going to start that out with a 1/4 ounce of our brown sugar simple syrup. You can muddle down a sugar cube in this for sure, but I do think it's a lot easier if you just use simple syrup for the consistency of the overall drink. And if you like a sweeter drink, you can definitely use more than a 1/4 ounce, but I think a 1/4 ounce is a good balance for me. Then we're going to use 1 dash of our Aztec chocolate bitters. 1 dash is definitely enough for this because it's very strong and you don't want to overpower the other flavors. Then we're going to do 2 dashes of our Angostura bitters. And for our alcohol, I'm going to use some cranberry infused Old Grandad 114. So I start with my Old Grandad 114 and then I let sit in there for about 4 days. Some fresh cranberries left over from Thanksgiving. Some nice cranberry infused bourbon. So we're going to use 2 ounces of that into our mixing glass. Now that that's in, we're going to add our ice. And you can definitely make this straight into your rocks glass, but you don't need to, and I prefer to have that little bit of separation and to keep my rocks glass as cold as I can for as long as I can. So we're going to crack some ice, put it into our mixing glass, and get it nice and chilled down. Gonna mix it for about 25 to 30 seconds. Probably good enough. Let's get our glass and let's pour it in. So we've got our frozen glass now. Here's our nice big piece of ice. Let's drop that right on top of it. Gonna give that a little bit of a mix real quick. Wipe it down a little bit. We're just going to put that on top. I realized after I finished making the old fashioned that the actual tasting portion got cut out, so we're going to finish that up now. The cranberry and the bourbon comes through really well, and the chocolate bitters that we added, though not too much, are still very, very much noticeable and very there, but not overpowering, which is rare because I find the Aztec chocolate bitters often just overpower whatever they're in. They just completely take over, but with this, that's really not the case. Anyway, this is our cranberry chocolate old fashioned, and that's my thoughts on it. Now that I think I've got our technical difficulties figured out, let's go on to cocktail number 2, a cranberry margarita, or a cranberita. So for this one, we're gonna start out with a cranberry cinnamon simple syrup, and we're gonna do 3/4 ounce. Then we're going to do 1/2 ounce of our dry curacao from the do-it-yourself dry curacao video. There'll be a link in the description on how to make this dry curacao yourself. Then we're going to do 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice. Couple little minor spills there, but here we go. 1 ounce of fresh lime juice. We're going to end this with some Reposado tequila, and we're going to do 2 ounces. Now that we've got all that in our shaker tin, let's go ahead and add some ice and give this a good shake. Want to give that a good tap so we know it's not going to fall all over us or anyone you're making a drink for, and then give it a good shake for 10 to 15 seconds. So we got a good condensation built up on the outside of our shaker, and I think we're ready to go. Let's get that opened up. Now we'll get our coupe glass out of the freezer, and now we'll double strain it into our glass. We definitely want to double strain because when you get some of those particles in there from fresh squeezing the lime, or even maybe some that I may have missed in the cranberry syrup. And you don't get all the ice chunks and ice flakes on top, which can ruin the appearance. And we're gonna go ahead and garnish that with a nice cranberry lime wheel. There we go. Now let's go ahead and give this a taste. This brings together a lot of flavors. You definitely have the cranberry and cinnamon syrup coming through really strong, backed up by our tequila and a little hint of the dry curacao. It's not too sweet, but it is definitely sweet, and the lime is very sharp and bright throughout. I think it makes for a great drink and a nice holiday twist on a classic margarita. There's cocktail number 2 of 4. So what we're gonna do for the third cocktail is no more cranberries. We're gonna do a blueberry brown sugar whiskey sour. So what we're gonna do for that, we're gonna take some nice fresh blueberries and pour that into our shaker. Then we're just gonna take our muddling stick and we're gonna break apart those blueberries gently. We don't wanna demolish them too much, but we wanna just express a lot of the juice out of them. After that, we're gonna add 3/4 of an ounce of our brown sugar simple syrup. Next, we'll take our lemon and we'll get 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Perfect 3/4 of an ounce from that half of lemon, which never happens with lime, but lemons are always very reliable with that. Next, we're gonna separate our egg white so we get that nice frothiness to it. Just gonna put that in the other shaker, just in case we get some yolk in there. We don't wanna get that mixed up and have to start over. There we go. We're gonna set that yolk aside because we're gonna use it for our next cocktail. And for our last ingredient, we're gonna add 2 ounces of our Blanton's Gold Label Bourbon. I'm choosing Blanton's Bourbon today because I really like the overall taste of it. The Blanton's Gold Label is not quite as strong as the straight from the barrel, but it's not as sweet as the standard Blanton's. I think this goes really well with the blueberries and brown sugar simple syrup. And now that we've got all our ingredients in, we're gonna give that a nice dry shake for about 10 to 15 seconds. Now that we've given it a good dry shake, let's add some ice for the final wet shake. Now, once again, we're gonna double strain into our glass. This one's gonna be really important to double strain because you have all that blueberry in the shaker, as well as when you have the egg white, you really wanna give that extra aeration, and pouring it through the strainer can help with that. I did anticipate this being a little bluer, but apparently it's not. So, there's that. And now, as always with the egg white cocktails, I do like to put a little Angostura bitters on top. I like the smell, I like the taste, and I like the way it looks, honestly. Let's give that a quick taste. Off the top, it smells really bourbony, but in drinking it, you get a very, very creamy drink, and a hint of blueberry does come through pretty strongly. The brown sugar really comes through as a rich sugar backing, which I much prefer the brown sugar over white sugar. I don't know. The richer taste is really what I prefer in a lot of cocktails, especially when you're talking about wintry cocktails. I don't know, the brown sugar really just seems appropriate. And here, with our blueberry in it as well, it just tastes absolutely delicious. For our fourth and final cocktail for today, we're gonna do a classic bourbon eggnog. And this is where we're gonna use the yolk that we set aside earlier. We're gonna put our 1 egg yolk into our shaker. Then we're gonna do 2 ounces of heavy cream. I didn't see a lot of single serving eggnog recipes, so I made this one and I think it's gonna turn out really well. We're gonna do 1/2 ounce of our brown sugar simple syrup. And then 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is a vanilla extract that I made using cognac. Really don't want a lot of the vanilla extract because it'll really become overpowering if you use too much. And we're gonna finish this out with 2 ounces of our Eagle Rare bourbon. Let's give that a nice shake for about 10 to 15 seconds. Really get everything mixed up into one frothy eggnog. I think that should be enough. We got our nice frozen glass. Let's go ahead and pour that in. Just from pouring it, you can tell it is a super, super thick and rich looking cocktail. And on top, you really should grate some fresh nutmeg, but I don't have any, so I'm gonna use some pre-done ground nutmeg and sift that over with our strainer. I'm not really much for eggnog, but this is so creamy and delicious. The bourbon, the cream, the brown sugar really mix together very nicely. It's not overpoweringly bourbony, which is great, but it is very creamy and you definitely get the hints of all of it. So that's our video for today. We've made 4 different holiday themed cocktails: the cranberry old fashioned, the cranberita, the blueberry whiskey sour, and finally the traditional eggnog. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. After you make these drinks, leave me a message in the comments and let me know what you think. Cheers and have a great holiday season.